I'm Fernando Fernandez for FERNTV, and we're here with Sylvie Van Brabant, and she's got a film, a closing night gala film actually, for it's called Earth Keepers, and it's showing here at Planet of Focus here in Toronto, Ontario. And I guess the first question I wanted to ask you is, how did this film evolve, and what inspired you to actually make this film?
I've always been interested by the environment. It's something I've been following for, like, say, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was part of that sort of hippie granola movement back in the 70s. So I was sort of aware of where we were heading as a civilization. And I started by looking at all the problems. And then as years went by, as I was doing films, I did a film, for example, on a suicide pact of young people.
Right.
And I realized what an explosive cocktail is, you know, this idea of no future and questioning one's identity, one's place in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more I prepared for this film, I wanted to do a film that really would give hope.
Right.
So that was clear for me, and when I do films, I sort of edit them like a drama.
Right.
There's got to be a storyline, there's got to be characters we identify with, and what was important for me was that the main character of the film be young.
Right.
Had to be somebody who was young to capture that energy of change.
Right.
But I knew that there was a whole movement, there were people that had seen where we were heading and had looked for solutions 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
And so I wanted to make a connection between the young generation and what's, you know, where, you know, sort of visionary guides.
Right.
And so basically, that's how I started. And then, you know, to find the funding, it had to be, for me, I started by being really interested by water, like 15 years ago, and did a lot of research on water issues. And finally, as you know, sometimes, you know, projects don't come through, other projects come through, and at one point I said, okay, I got to do this environmental film that I've always wanted to do.
Right.
Now's the time, I've got to go ahead with it. And at that moment in time, it became obvious that it was the planet that I had to look at.
Right. You've done a lot of movies that actually you wanted to spark social change or get people motivated in such a certain way. Is there sort of like a plan, or not a plan, but sort of like a strategy that a filmmaker would use to do a type of film that would actually initiate social change in our world?
Well, often, like I did a film on birthing conditions, like oh my God, almost 30 years ago. Right. And it sparked a movement in Quebec, you know, where I live. And basically there were no birthing rooms then, there were no midwives, and it brought about this whole change in Quebec society with regards to birthing, so that birthing could belong to couples and not be a medical act. And so with this film, and how I did that one was I did it with groups of people. I did it with a movement that was already in place. So with this film, I've hooked in these visionary people who are in the film, all have movements. Right. So it's the grassroots social movements that create change. So it's to hook into that. With regards to Quebec, while we were doing the film, we had a blog with Parole Citoyenne, which was in French, and I would have wanted to be a little bit more ahead with regards to the web program, but I'm going to be building it now. And the idea is to really create some kind of movement. There's already a movement that's strong in Quebec with regards to people like Équiterre. There's also a lot of division in the environmental movement. So we hope, and the main character of the film, he's somebody who creates consensus, who brings people together, who can be friends with various movements and sort of bring people together so that as a unified voice, we bring about change. So basically, yeah, like joining the radicals. Yeah. Yeah, to those who are just, you know, in the middle of the group or to the right. For example, you know, I mean, you've got an activist and you've got people who are working with politicians in the film. So you've got a really like multifaceted level of looking at creating change and creating solutions. Absolutely. In this film, you actually, you talk to 7 leaders who are very experienced in motivating social change. Now, you know, talk is cheap. You didn't go to the little scientists and, you know, in their labs who just theorize and theorize and theorize. And that's the most important part to bring change in our world. There are the people who motivate and, you know, induce social change. Well, why was that important in the film? Well, because as you say, talk is cheap, and we can, talk our way around this. And I mean, I believe in philosophy and in looking at issues at a deep level and thinking about it. I believe in intellectuals, but I also believe in hands-ons.
Right.
And these visionaries are all amazingly brilliant people, but they're also very, very humble. They're also, what I would say characterizes them the most is observation. They look at their society, they look at nature, and they observe and they see problems because of that observation. And so it was clear to me that they had to be the head of some kind of movement. So each of these visionaries sparked something.
Right.
And some of these movements are still active today.
Right.
They're all based in, and so either it can be also by being teachers, like one of the visionaries started a master's program to create strategic leadership towards sustainability in Sweden.
Yeah.
So he never ends, but this visionary was a doctor. He was a medical doctor dealing with cancer. So in his observations, he realized that cancer was on the uprise, and his environment was changing, it was getting industrialized, and he just put two and two together and said, can we live sustainably on this planet? And that's one of the main questions that everybody asked.
Right.
And they went out to say, yes, we can.
There's a program you have going on, the signing of the postcards and giving it to Stephen Harper. Can you explain what that's all about?
Well, Fernando, I will ask you to look at this and maybe sign it and put it in my Fed Up box. I've recycled the FedEx box.
Absolutely.
And I've decided that in each screening of a festival that I am bringing a box and bringing these little postcards and asking people to sign on, because basically the film gives hope, but that hope has got to be channeled into action immediately. So I wanted to make it clear that you've seen the film, right away, we got to do something.
Absolutely.
So the first thing that I've taken on as an action is climate change, because it's one of the biggest issues that we're dealing with, and it's not the only one. There are a lot of them, and we must not only focus on climate change, but so if you're fed up with Canadian policy, and Canadian politics is really not going the right way, we all know that, well, take action, okay? And so one of the first actions is to sign this little postcard, put it in the box, and I will deliver it personally to Ottawa.
I'm fed up with FedEx too. I'm kidding. So yeah, when people watch your film, is there more information we can get off like the internet or the website, or?
Well, you can go and see the trailer. At it's an NFB co-production, so the website, the promotional website, is being done with the National Film Board. So it's nfb.ca/earthkeepers, in one word. And so you'll see the trailer, and you will get news on where the film will be screening. We hope to release the film in cinemas across Canada.
Right.
So that's a job that's still got to be done. We're releasing it in Quebec in cinemas, and we're starting to get the web movement going.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Sylvie. And of course, Earthkeepers is going to be the closing night gala film here at Planet of Focus, and we want to thank you, and good luck in your future endeavors.
It's a pleasure. I looked at FERNTV and I found it interesting. I discovered things.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
great.
you.
Great work.
And I hope to see you again soon.
Great.
Bye.
Thanks.